Hello, my name is Kirsty. Welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. This is my podcast where I share all the things that I have been making. I'm really excited for today. It is the first episode of 2025. It is the first episode for a while because I've been busy doing the 12 cast-ons. And December, I didn't actually put out a regular podcast. I decided to step back from doing Vlogmas this year and spend more time with my family. But yeah, with everything that we had going, actually just finding time to sit down and record a podcast didn't happen either. So I have a lot to share with you today. I have my 2024 stats, what I did and knit throughout the year. I have my planning for this year, what I'm doing in 2025, my focus and things like that. It was going to be 11 finished objects because I was going to record this on Tuesday. It's now Thursday, January 16, my 9th wedding anniversary. Yay! So I now have 12 finished objects because I finished another one in the last 2 days. I have a few whips to share with you, and we're going to do a 500 subscriber giveaway, which I'm also very excited about. So I've just realised I've left one of my books in my room which has all of my stats in it. So I'm going to go grab that so I can share with you my stats. So let's talk about stats. I have my book here. Last year, 2024, I used 11,769 grams of yarn. Now last year I decided to track a whole lot of things. I was tracking, let me find my list. A whole lot of things. I was tracking skeins in, skeins out, the balance, so how much more or less I was buying or bringing in versus using. I tracked grams out, how much I was actually using, and grams cumulative. So I had every month how much grams I used, and then over the year how that was adding up. So I have a lot of stats here, but basically I used 11,769 grams. That's almost 12 kilograms of yarn last year. And when I tracked skeins, so 50 or 100 gram balls that I used, that was only 10,152. So my actual usage of yarn, grams, was more than the amount of skeins that I used. Now, I was really interested in this because, say this is leftovers from a project that I will show you in a minute. But this is, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 grams of yarn. But for skeins out, I would have counted this as 100 because it was 100 grams when I started and it's less than 50 grams now. So this can now go into scraps. So my skeins out would have been minus 100. My grams, this project would only count as the 70 grams that I actually used for the project. And so I thought, doing this, surely my skeins will be, I guess, not representative of what I've actually been doing. But in reality, I have so many scraps and I use so many scraps from projects that my actual usage of grams was still higher than my skeins because I had a lot of projects that used bits and pieces that were less than 50 grams, and that really upped that. So I thought that was really interesting, especially because when I'm tracking it in here, I track grams over here and I track skeins over here. And so if I did a lot of scrappy projects, this number would go up, but this column would stay empty. And mentally I found that really hard, and like I had to use new skeins, new yarn in order to get this out, or this higher, but really this is accurately tracking what I'm doing anyway. So all that to say, this year I'm only tracking grams, I'm not tracking skeins. I found that a bit laborious toward the end. But yes, almost 12 kilograms, almost 12,000 grams I used this year. And that was to make 61 items. So that's how many things I made this year, 61. I made 27 pairs of socks, which is like slightly over 1 pair every 2 weeks, which if you told me that I would be making a pair every 2 weeks, I would be like, that's insane and crazy. No way can I do that and make other things as well. But I did. I made 1 pair of mittens, 7 jumpers, 6 hats, 3 shawls, 2 toys, 6 dishcloths, 3 blankets, 1 rug, 1 basket and 1 bag, 2 cows and 1 top. So majority of them were still socks. But yeah, 7 jumpers. I'm pretty happy with that. That's, I guess, 1 jumper every 2 months and 4 pairs of socks every 2 months. Yeah. That's just what I've done. It's not at all a competition. I feel the need to say that because I know people knit in different ways and have different time to do that. But that's just what I've done for the past year, and it's a little record that I like to keep. So yeah, that is my stats for last year. For this year, I don't have many plans. Mainly, it's knit what I enjoy. I do have the 12 cast-ons that I just finished. If you haven't seen the vlogs and you want to see what I've been doing over the last few weeks, go check them out. I will link the playlist below. But yeah, so I started 12 new projects since December 26th, and I'll be working through them throughout the year. I'm not going to limit myself to those projects. I'll still start new ones. In fact, I've already started a new one since I started them. But I'm just going to be working through them as I go. I'm going to try and focus what I'm working on at any one time. So at the moment, I'm thinking 4 projects is a good amount, plus a muscle borrow. I always have a muscle borrow on the go at the moment because I find that really useful for certain situations where I can't do a more complicated knit. And even socks. I could do socks, but I do socks magic loop, which means when I'm in the middle of the row, it's really annoying to put down if I need to put it down quickly. Where a muscle borrow I can put down at any point because I'm doing it on a small circumference needle. So yeah, 4 projects and a muscle borrow at any time. And I'm also trying to focus not just on my knitting, but on some other things as well. So if I show you my January page, so this is, that one's very busy, I don't know. This is kind of my setup from last year. So project, yarn use, start, end date, how many grams, skeins in, skeins out, and then I just have some space for other tracking things and my stats for skeins in, skeins out, and grams in, grams out. I decided to bring some colour in this year. So this side looks pretty much exactly the same. I've decided not to count how many whips I have going at the end of every month, but just finished objects and grams used. I'm already second guessing that one, so I'll see what happens there. But on this page, it's looking a little different. I'm not tracking skeins in, skeins out this year. I decided that, particularly in December when I went to the yarn show and then I had Christmas. And so I got quite a lot of yarn in December. I just decided it wasn't what, that was the doorbell. I think my husband will get it. It wasn't what I wanted to focus on. And I say this hesitantly. I have a lot of yarn. I know I have a lot of yarn. I have enough yarn that if I don't buy anything for 2 years, I should almost make it to the end of the second year with how much I'm knitting each year to not have to buy yarn. But if I'm given yarn, I don't want to feel pressure of that. If I need yarn for a project, I don't want to feel pressure from that. Writing down skeins in makes me feel bad. It's not helping me make more wise decisions in buying. It's just making me feel guilty. So I'm going to take that away. I'm not tracking that anymore. I'm going to track how much I'm using. And I'm just trying to decide when I'm buying yarn to buy it for a purpose, rather than because it's on sale or because I feel like I need something or because I'm in a bad mood. I'm trying to be more mindful in the buying. 12 cast-ons I think will actually help me with this a lot because I've just started all of these projects that have been sitting there waiting to be started. And that makes me feel so good because there are so many things that I want to make, that I have the yarn to make, but in my day-to-day knitting, I don't necessarily think of it, or starting a sweater project just seems a bit hard right now. And so I'm always looking at the next sock color or the next muscle burrow or the next small, easy project. So having these bigger projects on the needles that is actually hours worth of knitting, which is what I'm really here for, right? I love the knitting. I think that's going to be really helpful. The other thing that I'm doing at the moment is I'm unpacking boxes, and I have a lot of fabric in there. You may not know this, I have been a sewer longer than I've been a knitter. I love quilting, I've dabbled in clothes making. I have a lot of fabric, and I have a lot of sewing whips that I haven't touched. And so one of the things that I'm trying to do at the moment, which is here, is spend 30 minutes a day doing something that isn't knitting. All right, let me explain this page. Winter knits. This will change every month, but this month it's just things that I am wanting to make either for me or the family that is seasonal. So this at the moment has slippers for me and mittens for my family. And I need to add another one. My son has just asked for a second pair of mittens, which is different from the other mittens, because he wants a pair for school and a pair for home. Totally reasonable. This section is my focus. So what am I actually trying to work on this month? I have over here my knitting focuses, which has been Advent Dress, Heritage Harbour, Sweetheart Mittens and Framed. We'll talk about that in a minute. And this side I have some other focuses. So I'm reading a book at the moment called Poland. It's about the history of Poland. I'm reading a book in Polish at the moment, Mansfield Park, which is a Jane Austen. It is a translation, a rewritten translation for young girls. It's not a translation of the full text of Jane Austen. So it's a bit more simple Polish and more my level. In the Bible, I'm reading Genesis. I've gone back to the beginning and I'm starting there. My Polish Bible reading, I'm reading John. My 30 minutes of crafting focus, I'm doing a cross stitch at the moment. I've picked one that I was halfway through, and I'm just working on that a little bit each day. And the podcast that I'm working through at the moment is Risen Motherhood. Really great, can recommend. What this does, all the things that I've written on this side, I'm already working on. Like, these are habits that I have gotten in place and I'm working on every day, working through these things. But I like to have them written down as a focus. Previously, I've had long lists of things that I want to read, or want to listen to, or want to make. Overwhelming. So I'm just writing down what I'm actually focusing on right now. Down here, it just says next. So my next book that I'm going to focus on when I finish the book Poland is Calvin's Institutes. The next Polish book is Lady Susan. The next 30 minutes is my Seedlings quilt, which is a hand quilting project. And when I finish these, or maybe next month, my knitting focus will be DRK Everyday Cow or the Kookaburra Jumper. Both of those were 12 cast-ons, and I have episodes or vlogs about starting them. Yes, but what I've done is, rather than having a long list, I've just stopped and thought, what is it that I would like to work on that I can't work on right now, but that I can look forward to? And that's what that is. Yeah, so I'm liking this. It is simplified. I can still do some planning, and I can change this up every month. Like, I haven't gone forward for the future months. I'm loosely thinking, trying not to overspill here, but if I'm finishing projects and then starting new ones, maybe I will. As I finish 12 cast-ons, like already I have 3 things that I finished this month. So as I do that, obviously the next month I will have less to write in, but it depends on how many I start as well. So that's how I'm tracking things this year. Yeah, I haven't figured out how to put mending into this, whether I do mending Monday or something like that. But at the moment I'm working on making this habit and working on things at different times of the day. So that's where I'm up to with all that. Let's talk about finished objects. Like I said, I have 12 finished objects now. 12. So let's jump in. The first one that I finished is this one. I say finished. I literally added the pom-pom 20 minutes ago. But this is the first one that I finished. It is a muscle burrow beanie. It was reversible until I put the pom-pom on. The pom-pom has made it less reversible. This is the child size. It is made out of hand-dyed 75-25. And when I say hand-dyed, I mean I dyed it. 75-25. It is a pattern by Years Older Teague. I use 3mm needles, and this is true for all of my muscle burrows that I make in fingering weight yarn. I use 3mm needles. I cast on and finish the increases with magic loop. I then change to a 16-inch circular needle, do the body, go back to magic loop to do the decreases, and cast off. I don't actually have one that doesn't have a pom-pom in it right now, but if it didn't have the pom-pom holding it in, I could do this and it would just be a long tube. It's a very popular pattern. I've made a lot of them in my time. And yeah, this is what I will always have on the needles for easy knitting. What about this one? This one I started on the 6th of November and finished on the 15th of November. So it has been quite a while. Like I said, it's been a while since I've done a podcast and I have a lot to share. And this is 68 grams of yarn in this one. This is for my daughter. She will probably wear it with the rim up. I think my daughter prefers the rim. My son prefers no rim. So there you go. This, I've made a size, I believe it's a child. My daughter is 3 and the toddler one just is already too small. So yes, child for my daughter. And that is my leftover yarn from there. So that's about 30 grams then. All right. The next one I do not have with me, so I will put a picture up here. These are what I fondly call the caterpillar socks. The pattern is Rhinebeck Roomies. They are a pattern from the Crazy Sock Lady. The yarn I dyed myself. I did a size medium, which is 64 stitches. I did 14 rounds of 2x2 rib for the cuff, and I did them on 2.5mm. I think I did the magic loop, maybe. Oh, actually, I think I did these ones DPN. They are in Australia. They are a gift. I made them for my sister to give away. And I started them on the 2nd of November and finished them on the 20th of November, and they are 75 grams. The pattern Rhinebeck Roomies, I did really enjoy, and I will probably do that again. Probably on magic loop, because I just prefer magic loop for pattern socks. All right. The next one that I finished is this one. This is a wallop cowl. It is a pattern by Linique Bossman, and I did this one on 4mm needles. 4mm, I want to say 16-inch circulars again, maybe it was 20-inch circulars. I did every transition. I did the eyelet row. The pattern has multiple ways to do transitions between colours, and I just do the eyelet row the whole time. And the thing that I did differently from the pattern, if I can figure out where I started, which I think was here, because I think in the pattern the final row is not an eyelet row, just a plain row, and so you can just Kitchener it up. For me, because I did the eyelet row, Kitchenering it up meant that the transition would look different. So what I did was, when I knit the first colour, I think I did 23 rows of each colour, including the eyelet row. So when I did the first colour, I only knit like 21 rows or something like that. But you start with a provisional cast on. That's the one. So I started with the provisional cast on. I did the first colour, knit around the whole thing. When I came back, I did the eyelet row to transition back to the first colour, and then I Kitchenered it with the first colour. And so the Kitchener stitch is somewhere in here, but all the transitions look the same, and the Kitchener stitch is much more invisible than it was on the first one I did. The other thing is I made it shorter. I only used 12 colours for this one. And when I put it together, I deliberately put a twist in it. My plan was that my daughter could do this and have a quite snug one. She is, like I said, 3, so her neck is not as big as mine. However, it is a little small. I think I originally planned to do 13 colours, and for some reason I only had 12 in my bag, and so I only did 12. So it is shorter than I planned, but also I haven't blocked it. So I think I'm going to block that. In fact, I'll take that downstairs today and block it, because if it blocks out even just a little bit, I think that'll be a lot more comfy for her. She could wear it like this and kind of have it tucked into her jacket, but it's just not going to be as comfortable or as warm. In fact, could she? Yeah, it's not as, I mean, she could. I could. Anyway, it is a great pattern. I've done the Wallop Cowl at least once before, and I really like it. This one I started on the 7th of November and finished on the 4th of December, and it weighs 117 grams. All right, what is next? The next one, I actually don't have to show you, and I don't have a picture because I could not find it. I made a tiny turtle. The pattern is Little Miss Turtle by Diana Moore. It is crochet, like an amigurumi type thing. It was like this big. It was tiny and it was fiddly. I followed a free pattern on her blog exactly, so you can go check that out. I will still link the pattern below. I used fingering weight scraps. I stuffed it with spinning fibre and fingering weight scraps because that's what I had with me at the time. And I started on December 4th and finished it on December 5th, and it used 5 grams, including whatever I stuffed it with. So it was very tiny. I made it as a present for my daughter for Święty-Mikołaj, which is on December 6th. And I was on holidays at the time. Yeah, I cannot see it. I'm like, it's got to be somewhere. I checked all the places that I remember seeing it, and I could not find it. So sorry I don't have a photo or the actual thing to show you. But yes, it was a very tiny pink turtle because I believe I used this one here. Oh no, I used this one, which is Maximu Yarns, maybe Abracadabra is the colorway. So I used that one, and then just a hot pink, like a plain hot pink as the other colorway. Yeah, so it was a bit, in fact, maybe I used this one as the rest of it. But yeah, it was a very, very simple, very quick, very fiddly crochet project. The next one that I did also while we were away is I made a pair of mittens. These are the World's Simplest Mittens by Tim Can Knits. They are very, very simple. My daughter has a pair, my son has one pair and has requested a second. This is DK weight in the pattern. I think the pattern is for fingering, DK worsted, maybe Aran. This is DK weight, but I did it fingering held double. So I held it one strand of Bendigo Galaxy 4-ply in the navy colorway, Midnight, whatever it was called, and the other strand I held was half-baked hand-dyed in the Kirsty colorway, the blue, purple, blue, green, purple, blue, blue, was a competition where everyone could randomly pick numbers or put together their combinations, and this was mine, and I won, so I got a free skein, and I've made socks, and I had a few bits of leftovers, so this was the leftovers. I still have a little bit more of that. I completely used the Bendigo Galaxy, which I'm very happy about. And I don't know if you're even going to be able to tell, but from halfway through this purple up, I actually had to use a different yarn because I ran out of the Galaxy. It's slightly brighter, slightly less grey, I guess, and slightly thicker. But no one's going to know or care unless I point it out. And even then, they're not going to care. The one thing I did change about the pattern was I added a crochet cord. I do that so that the mittens can go through the jumper and not fall off and get lost. I used to think that they were crazy, like why would you put a cord on mittens? And then I had kids playing in the snow, and the amount of times that their mittens fell off into the snow, got saturated, and then they came up and were like, Mum, I need new mittens. And I'm like, oh, they're wet. I don't have new ones. The cord. Great. These I started and these are the child size as well. I started them on 23rd of November and finished them on the 7th of December, and they used 48 grams of yarn. My son is 5, so the child size fits him perfectly. All right, the next thing that I made a bag. And not only did I make a bag, I have like a cool little bag hardware thing here. So cool. So this bag I made out of We Love Yarn Aran. This is 100% acrylic color 27. I bought it from Hobby, like HOBBI. I bought it here in Poland from Hobby. It says it is a medium weight. I think, yeah, I mean it says Aran. There you go. I bought this to teach people to knit, and I don't like using acrylic, and people who I've taught to knit generally have been either knitting socks or not, or will bring their own yarn. And so I've just had this in my storeroom, and I've decided to use it up in projects as is appropriate. So I made this bag. I don't know, I made it for a market where it didn't sell, and so I don't know whether I'm going to keep it for future markets or use it. The pattern is Tegan Basket Weave Tote by Joni Sullivan of Ruby Webb's Crochet. I got it out of Homespun, which is an Australian crafting magazine, and it was the 25th anniversary edition. I'm pretty sure I tried to make this about 10 years ago. I used to buy Homespun, like old crafting magazines from op shops in Australia. And also there are online library apps that I was able to access it. So this one actually was reading through the library app, and I saw this and I thought, I'm going to try that. And I cast it on and I started, and I got to doing like the basket weave style, which is like knitting around the posts in different ways, or crocheting around the posts in different ways. And I found it so frustrating, and I thought about stopping, but I really wanted the bag. And then I kept going, and then I had this memory of doing the same thing maybe 10 years earlier, where I went, oh, that's a really cool design pattern, started doing the stitch and went, not worth it. Because it is a much slower crochet that I'm used to. Like this bag, if I was just doing a granny square or something, would take no time at all. But doing like around posts and stuff, like it's quite a dense and slow crochet project. So this bag took me, I started on the 6th of December and finished on the 10th of December. 6th of December, finished on the 10th of December. I think I used a size 6mm hook. I don't think I had what the pattern called for, so I was doing one size down from what the pattern called for, which also made it denser and slower. And I don't know if this is just a me problem or an everyone thing, but when I crochet, the start of round, if I'm doing it in the round, it always just kind of goes to the side. Doesn't matter if I do a slip stitch, join, or if I do a post before I start, whatever it is, it always slowly goes to the side. This bag was no exception. So when it came to putting the handles on, it said, do this many, do the handle, do this many, do the handle, do this many. And I thought that handle doesn't look like it's lining up. Like it looks like it's doing this kind of thing where you have, just not lining up handle. And I was like, I'm going to trust the pattern. And it didn't work. And when I finished, my handles were very off kilter. And so I decided to block it and see if that helped. And it helped a little bit, but it didn't fix the problem properly. And so finally you can see on this side, I sewed up a little bit. And then on the other side as well, I sewed up a little bit to make it even. Yeah, so if you're doing this pattern, if you do crochet bags, I know I'm not the only person who's beginning of round can twist, or the whole thing, if you're doing a tube, can twist. But yeah, just be aware when you're doing the handles, do what makes sense for what your bag is looking like, not just what the pattern says. But I'm really happy with this. I like it. It took 288 grams. And so I'm not sure whether I'll put it aside or if I'll use it as a project bag, because like that is quite a decent sized project bag and super handy, and even one that you could knit and walk if you wanted to. So yeah, there you go. And this little thing I got from a yarn show. I don't remember which one. It's just super cute. I have quite a few of them now, and I don't know where it's actually from, but I have quite a lot. All right. The next thing I finished, I don't have a picture of. Actually, the next two I don't have with me. I do have pictures of. So here's the first one. This one is Christmas socks is all I'm calling it, and it is out of this yarn. It is a self-striping yarn from Hobby again. When I first moved to Poland, Hobby was one of the most obvious places I could find to buy wool, and this is colour number 6. I'm not a huge fan of the wool that I have used or bought from Hobby. I haven't tried all of them, but I am using what I have, and I wanted to make a pair of socks for my Polish teacher's husband, and it was going to be a Christmas present, and so I decided to use Christmas yarn. So I used this. I did vanilla socks on Magic Loop by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady, 2.5mm needle. It would have been 14 rounds for the cuff and 40 rounds for the leg, and then the foot I had to estimate because I didn't know how big his feet were. I asked his wife, my Polish teacher, and she just thought it was the strangest question ever. And even when I said I'm making him socks, she was like, yeah, that's still a weird question. So I just had to estimate. I was like, I think his feet are maybe a bit bigger than mine, definitely not as big as my husband's. I picked something, and apparently they fit perfectly, which I'm very happy for. I started them on the 5th of December, and I finished them on the 23rd of December. But by the 18th of December, I'd only done the cuff and maybe a few rounds of the first leg. Like, it was basically, yeah, I hadn't done much. And then I realized that I needed to have them done by the 24th of December, and so I kicked my butt into gear and I knit the rest of the first sock, all of the second sock, and an entire another pair in the next 5 days. I will show you, this is the yarn that I used for the heel of that sock. A bit of fun. This is Trekking XXL, and it is colour 753. Yeah, so I use this for the heel, and I have plenty to make another pair of socks completely out of that. So I also made this pair of socks in the next 5 days. Now this pair is the Magic Toadstool Socks by Stone Knits. It is a pattern that I bought on Ravelry. It's not part of one of her books as far as I'm aware. I used Dyelicious yarn and scraps. Well, kind of scraps. I used Dyelicious yarn, which I do have here. Oh, look at this. Alright, so this is Dyelicious yarn by Coconino. This is hand dyed in Arizona. It's an 80-10-10 superwash merino cashmere nylon. It is delightful, like delightful. This one I got as part of a swap from Takesha, so thank you Takesha, who lives in America, and so she sent me a full skein of this as part of that swap, which was very, very generous. And so I used that with this was the toadstool colour, and this one was the heel and toe. The toads and the white was literally it was part of a perfect set by where you knit 2 socks entirely the same, and I had a little bit left over from the toe before it went back to the mustard yellow to say you're finished. And so the white in the toadstool was just that tiny little bit of white from the rest of the toe, because my foot is quite short. I didn't need it all. So yeah, real scraps for that one. But these two, I think I grabbed from my Starchy Valley socks, and they should probably go back. So yeah, this is Yavol, and this is Cool Wool, but I don't have the colours. I don't have the tags. I don't know where they are. Yeah, so I'm calling them, I'm dropping them. I'm calling them scraps. But yeah, that's the brand. Cool Wool and Yavol, and then the Delicious Coconino. This was really fun to do. I did block these socks before I gave them, and I blocked them, I put them on the sock blockers, and I put them on top of radiators, so they did dry overnight, which was great. Again, I was guessing the size of the foot. Apparently they also fit really well. And I did start them on December 18 and finish them on December 23rd. I did 2.5mm needle. When I was doing the colour work, I did them on Addy Flexi Flips. I'm not sure I actually enjoyed that more, but I did them on Addy Flexi Flips, and I tried to do them inside out, but it kept wanting to flip back in because of the way that I held the needles. And then once I got past the colour work, I switched to Magic Loop, did Magic Loop for the rest of it, including the colour work next to the toe. The first sock was a little tighter. I realised I tried it on and it was just a little tight to get over my heel. So the second one I deliberately did looser. I didn't change the needle size. And so, yeah, there was a bit of a discrepancy in how tight it is. I'm still getting my colour work to be consistent. I have a project from the 12 cast-ons that should help with that. The St. John's dress. But for this, it worked. My teacher loves them so much that she won't even wear them because they're just so special. They sit on her desk and she just shows people. She's a very sweet, sweet woman. The Christmas ones that I made for her husband, he put them on, he loved them. He washed them, he wore them the next day, washed them that night so he could wear them again the next day, and has just been showing everyone. So yeah, 2 of the most knit-worthy people I've knit for a while. It was very, very sweet. I'm very happy that I could give them some socks. My dad's birthday was the other day, and my brother's, and so they've both received socks, and Dad a beanie as well, and they're also wearing and raving about them and loving them. So I say my teacher and her husband are the most knit-worthy I've knit for a while. I knit for a lot of knit-worthy people. A lot of people who love it. It makes me feel good. But yeah, the response was just a very special response. And especially like their son was like, Kirsty, like I've never seen my dad respond this way to socks. Like he just loves them. Bless him. Anyway, the next one that I finished, I also don't have here. Oh, I said that was 64 grams? Yeah. The next one that I finished, I also don't have here, but I do have another photo. I could go take it off my dog and show you, but it's going to look better on her anyway. So here's a photo of my dog and her dog jumper. This is a free pattern. It is the Well Dressed Dog Coat by Tamara Kelly. I think you can get a paid for download off Ravelry, or you can go to her blog and get it for free. So I went to the blog, did it for free. I used some more of this one, which is what I used for the bag. And I also had this giant ball. And so I used these together. I did 2 colours because I didn't have a third colour. No, I did have a third colour, which was a slightly more grey, but similar to this. And I didn't want it to be majority grey. So instead of doing 1 row of each colour, I did 2 rows of each colour so that I could carry the yarn up the side. I think in the original pattern you carry the yarn up the side, but because you have 3 colours, you're carrying the yarn up on both sides. It just works. But for 2 colours, I had to do 2 rows of each to get it to work, which was totally fine. I love it. My dog loves it. My husband loves it. I did modify the pattern a little bit as well to make it bigger and longer, which I don't know if I needed to. I measured my dog's chest and it was smaller than the extra large size said, but there was quite a lot of growth just from wearing it, and particularly I think because it's been wet and snowing, it's gotten wet a few times, and so it's had quite a lot of stretch, and so I think I could have gone with just the extra large and it would have been fine. But you live and you learn. That one used 242 grams, and I started at December 28th and finished at December 30th. If you watched the 12 cast-ons, you will have already seen that one because you would have walked through with me about making it a little bit. That was fun. All right, the next one that I have to show you, I do actually have here, is this one, and it is another muscle borrow. I did a really terrible job of putting the pom-pom on, so I'm going to have to do that a little bit more securely. But another muscle borrow. This is for my son. On the inside, I did run out of yarn because the rainbow yarn I picked up for $2 from an op shop in Australia. I'm pretty sure it's a 75-25 sock yarn. I've seen the same exact colorway from multiple brands, but I don't know which brand it is. I'm not even certain it's the 75-25. I'm just pretty sure it is. But on the inside, I used some of the leftovers of this one to finish it off because it wasn't a full skein, so I didn't have enough to make a full muscle borrow. So yeah, it looks a bit Christmassy, and if I hadn't put the pom-pom in, he could have worn it this way as well. But he wanted a rainbow beanie. He has a rainbow beanie. He can also wear it with the flap up, but he tends to like it slouchy like that. So this is the second muscle borrow for today. Same deal for needles, 3mm flat magic loop or small circumference. This is an adult medium. My son is 5. He has a big head. He's had a big head his whole life. So I do the adult medium for him. I did make him the adult small, which is the same size as the child, a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. And it was just a little small. So I've gone up to adult medium for him since then. And once they stretch and grow, there is quite a bit of room in them, but he likes that. So I'm not worried. This one, I started on the 15th of November and finished on the 8th of January, and it took 84 grams. So this one sat for a while without me touching it. Most of my muscle borrow knitting is done either in traffic, during school runs, or in meetings. And so when school was off and we're on holidays and spending all the time with family, this just didn't get touched for a while. So I'm happy that it's done, and I've started another one, which I will talk about in a minute. The next finished object, and I'm calling this a finish even though the ends aren't woven in and it's not blocked, which is getting into a bit of a habit. I have 2 large projects now that I need to weave the ends in, and I keep thinking about it, and honestly, I don't have as much knitting time where I can just sit and focus on what I'm doing. So I've got a lot of knitting done, but it's knitting that is not good time for using to weave an ends. So I will get it done because I really, 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 really want to use this one. This is my Advent project. Okay, 2024 Advent project. So I did an Advent swap with my mum, my sister, and a couple of friends, or 3 friends, where we picked a movie, we dyed yarn accordingly, and we swapped the yarn. My goodness, I love it. The movies were The Santa Claus, Elf, Home Alone, Love Actually, Narnia, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, the Disney version, and While You Were Sleeping. So it was really fun to be knitting with yarn, inspired by the movies, to have quotes or colours or things from the movies to be looking out for while you're watching them, and to watch the movie while we were knitting. Everyone is doing different projects, and I'm loving seeing what the other people are doing with the same yarn and how different it looks. Crocheted versus knit versus big versus small. It's amazing. I decided to do a dress because it is a lot of yarn. We had a 100 gram skein plus 25 minis, so we had 600 grams of yarn. And I thought that's a lot. I want to do something that shows off the yarn where I can see a good amount of it all. And then I decided to hold it with mohair because I know mohair and even holding a white mohair makes it a bit more subtle, but I didn't want to, like for instance, this colour, the red and white. I didn't know what the colours were, but I didn't want to make that just kind of a muddy, mild effect. I wanted to see the effects of the actual yarn. So this is what I made. It is one that I've designed myself, that I've made, and once I've woven in the ends and blocked, I will show you again some footage of me wearing it. I love it. So it is a raglan style dress. I did do some shaping around the waist and the hips and the thighs to try and give it a more fitted look. They are quite fitted sleeves as well. I'm so excited to get this going. I looked at another dress that I have. It has quite a big turtleneck on, or like a cowl turtleneck on the dress that I was looking at. But it's one of the dresses that I love wearing, that I wear all the time in winter, and I thought if I had that in a warmer wool, I would wear that all the time. And so that was kind of my loose basis for my shaping of this dress. I was debating whether or not to do a flared skirt or not, and then I realised that in winter in Poland, you don't want a flared skirt because then all the air gets up and makes you cold, plus you have all this extra skirt that can, drip in the snow and drape and whatever. So I was like, I want the more fitted skirt. It'll be much more practical for wearing, even if the style is slightly less than what I wanted. But now that I've done it, I think it's going to be perfect. So let's go through the colours. This main one is called Snow Globe. It's one that I dyed, but based on instructions from my friend, who chose the Santa Claus and chose the colours. So she said, I want green, I want it to look like the snow globe in Santa Claus, have some white, see if you can make it look like it's snowing. I have to say, the mohair with this one does make it. It's a beautiful colour anyway, but the mohair itself makes it look like it's snowing. Let me see if I can... So beautiful. All right, the next 5 colours were dyed by my sister. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they are based on the movie Elf. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to remember them all. I think this one was like Spaghetti Breakfast. This one was Buddy. This one was Candy Cane Lane. I don't remember the other two. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were based on Love Actually. I know this one was Second Lobster. Oh man, I do not remember the names. The next ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were Home Alone. That was Paris Blue, Home Alone Green, Christmas Lights, Firecrackers, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 were Narnia. Santa Claus Gifts, Aslan and Sunshine. And then the bottom ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the bind off 5 were the ones that I dyed. So that was While You Were Sleeping. And if I can remember, this one was Anything Would Look Better in Peter's Apartment. I'm in love with your son, not that one, that one. Let me walk you home, it's for protection for me. Elsie, let her tell it. And the bind off, which is the red and green, is to Lucy from Santa. So there you go. I remember what the ones I dyed are because I had to come up with everything for them. Yeah, so that is the Advent in all its glory. I love it. So I need to weave in the ends. If I turn it inside out, I'm pretty sure I did all the ends for the top, like for the cast on and the sleeves, but you can see all those ends to weave in because I did a trial dress to see how I actually wanted it to work and look. I have woven in just a few at the top. And because my plan was I could carry the yarn, especially the white one, like I can carry that the whole way, right? When I did the trial dress, I didn't like how the join looked with carrying the yarn the whole time. I did carry the mohair the whole time because it was exactly the same, so I literally just used that the whole time. But even the white, I cut and will weave in the ends. So I know that that's twice as many ends than it would have been if I'd carried it, but I really wasn't happy with how it was looking previously. And then the other thing, this isn't super neat because I haven't woven in the ends yet, is the top better? Oh yeah, the top one is a little bit better. So you can see this here compared to down here. What I did was I slipped the first stitch of the second round of each colour, and that helped make a more continuous line. It's still not perfect, but definitely more continuous for colour. So I'm happy with that. I need to weave in the ends. I started it on the 29th of November. This colour, so that people could use it throughout the month if they decided. We decided to open that on the 30th of November. And technically it was the 30th of November in Australia when I opened it, but it was I can't think right now. It was the 29th here in Poland. And that just gave me an extra day because I wanted to be at the colours for the 1st of December. I didn't quite make it. I played catch up the first few days. But yeah, because I was knitting all of this before I even started the Advent, I wanted to get a bit of a head start on that. I just didn't show anyone until I'd done it. We are getting close. In fact, that was the last finished object until yesterday. This next one is actually a 12 cast on. It is one of the projects that I started for the 12 cast ons. It was day number 2 and I have finished them. So here they are. I made fingerless mitts. It still has the number 2 from the 12 cast ons. So on day 1 of 12 cast, on day 2, sorry, of 12 cast ons, I knit all of that. So from the cuff to here, and since then I've knit a whole other glove and the rest of that one. I'll try them on and show you. These are also done in the Dyerlicious Yarns Cocoa Nino, the same ones that I used for the toadstool socks. I had about about 50 grams left, and so I decided to use them for this. This is a pattern by Cave the Crazy Sock Lady. It is called the Sweetheart Mittens, and I did it on 2.5mm needles. The pattern says 2.25, but I do 2.5 for all of her patterns, so I did the same for this. I didn't swatch. I'm not about swatching. I love them. They are comfy and warm. I think the cashmere in the yarn has really helped. I haven't worn them yet. I thought about it this morning, but I thought I'd wait until I've shown you and then I'll start wearing them. I did the size small medium. I think I looked at a sock that I had made out with the same amount of stitches and tried it on and went, yeah, that's going to fit without a problem. I really like the pattern on this. I think it is beautiful. It was a very memorizable pattern. It had 4 rows. I had a little bit of trouble reading it the first day that I started it, and I spoke about that on the 12 cast-ons. But I think for the entire second mitten, I barely looked at the pattern at all. I did it to make sure that I was doing, you know, thumb gussets in the right spot and all of that. But I think for the actual pattern, I didn't do much looking or checking because I had memorized it already. Yeah, so this was day 2 of the 12 cast-ons. I started it on the 27th of December and I finished it yesterday on the 15th. Yesterday? Day before. Let me double check that. Yeah, yesterday on the 15th of January, and it used 44 grams of yarn. Did I say my Advent dress used 386 grams? So I still have quite a lot of Advent yarn left over, but I've used almost all of the main colour. And the mohair and the white lines in it were just bare undyed mohair and 75-25 yarn. So that's all bare undyed for those white bits in the Advent dress. Yeah, so this one, I love it. I am looking forward to wearing them. I put them on last night and I just felt so warm and cozy I wanted to fall asleep straight away. But yeah, it is cold here and I am looking forward to wearing them more. I did notice out of my focus knits for this month, which were the Advent dress, done, Heritage Harbour, I'm about to show you, Sweetheart Mittens, done, and Framed, which I don't have to show you because even though I've put it as a focus for this month, I haven't touched it. Yeah, I've now finished 2 of my focuses, minus the weaving innards, of course. But these ones I think got a lot of work because they're basically a sock with thumb holes. And so I found it really easy to pick it up, to work on it, to do while I was having a chat with someone, where my jumper that I'm about to show you is not quite to that point yet, but hopefully it will be soon, and then that can become a chatting knit as well, or a reading knit, or whatever knit. So yeah, fingerless mitts, done. You can tell I like this kind of dusty green blue colour. Look at that. Alright, I will take these off for the moment, but I do really like them. Alright, the next thing that I have to show you, which I haven't shown you, but this was a test for the Advent dress to see if that would work. This is currently on hold because I needed to use the needles for a 12 cast on. But this is what I have done here. So you can see, same style, still raglan, still the colours. The difference is I'm not holding the mohair double for the colours. I'm just knitting them by themselves and I'm continuing to hold the mohair double for the other parts. I decided not to do that for my dress. I was really tempted to, but it is just a little bit thinner because it's obviously not mohair held double. And that means it's both a little bit more see-through, but also it's not as windproof. And because I'm wanting a dress to wear in the cold, I thought I should really have the consistently warmer fabric. The minis in here are also from Takesha, so thank you Takesha. We did a mini swap and she sent a whole bunch of minis like this. And so I pulled out, what do I have left? I think these are the only 2 I've got left. So it'll go like that to finish it off, I believe. Or maybe like that to finish it off. Anyway, almost done with the dress. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I may have to add just a bit of extra at the end. I'm using for the main colour Knitting for Olive Merino. It is Dusty Aqua 90549. It's a 100% extra fine merino, 250 meters, 50 grams. I have 2 of these and I haven't even started the second. So I don't know if I'm going to need to start the second, and I'm holding it double with drops in the jeans, blue jeans colorway. So together that is giving this beautiful yarn. I'm really happy with how it's working. I'm a little bit sad that I had to take the needles for something else. I think it's going to be a really lovely dress. And yeah, just the drops held with the Knitting for Olive is like, it is a delightful fabric. I started and I thought I want a jumper out of this, but then I realized I've basically got one. This one is Vera Yarns singles held with the same mohair. So yeah, I kind of have the same one already. Yeah, that's going to be a dress. I'm going to finish the last 2 colours and probably do an I-cord bind off as well. The difference with her one is that I am doing a bit more of a flared skirt, because she doesn't think a dress is worth anything if it doesn't have a flared skirt. So I'm doing her shaping differently, but I just was doing this to check a little bit of the pattern of the top and the short rows, but also the stripes. I don't gauge swatch. I don't like gauge swatching. I'd much rather just do a whole other pattern and have something that is useful. So this is kind of my gauge swatch for my advent dress. And they're both done on 4.5mm needles as the main body. Okay, the next one that I have to show you is also a 12 cast on, and this is in a big sheet bag, also that I made. I do have a tutorial for making project bags that I will link down below. Like I've made that one, I made that one, I made that one, I made that one, and that one. I have a pattern. I have a tutorial. It has a free information pattern inside, not like a download pattern, but in the tutorial I tell you how to do it. And I also talk about how to customize the size so that you can make it whatever size you want. All right, I have the Heritage Harbour, which looks something like that. It is a striped pullover. I've seen people do it in one colour, like completely one colour, in one colour with one colour stripes, in 2 colour stripes with rainbow stripes, 3 colour stripes, all sorts of things. I'm doing it in 2 colour stripes, and I talk about this a lot more on 12 cast-ons, but let's show you what I've done since then. So this was day number 1 for 12 cast-ons, and I started up here and worked down, and I mean, this is up here, but I did get into the second colour, so it probably was down here at the end of day 1. And so I finished down here. This is the back, and then I've come around and I've picked up the left side on the front and started knitting down the front. I love this for so many reasons. The yarn itself is Martin's Lab. It is the Tyrrell DK, which is 100% superwash Polworth, and it is the Thicket colourway. And then I have Petals and Wheat. I was debating doing 2 colour, decided to do 3 colour. You can go watch day 1 of 12 cast-ons if you want to find out more about that. But I am loving it. I'm loving I want to say simplicity of the pattern and of the knitting. At the moment it's flat and it's mostly stockinette, which means there's a fair bit of purling, but it is a drop shoulder. And so I believe once this gets a little further, and I do the same for the other side, and then the front gets down to this point, we'll start knitting in the round. I believe that's where it happens. And so then it will be actually a super easy knit, because most of it will just be stockinette and you're just striping in colours. It does have this beautiful texture part. Super easy to do not difficult, pretty mindless, but just adds that pop to it. So I'm so loving this. I started working on it again this morning and just did, like in maybe 20 minutes, I did from there to down here, and I didn't want to put it down, and I had to practice self-discipline and put it down so I could go get the kids off to school, and I did, and I am looking forward to getting back to this afternoon. I think I'll probably focus, if I have focus knitting time, on getting this to where it's in the round, and then it can be moved into my easy knitting time, which is what the mitts were. Easy knitting is really where a lot of progress is made, because that's most of my knitting time. I am doing these on 4mm needles, which I believe is what the pattern says. And in terms of how I chose what size I'm doing, go watch day 2 of 12 cast-ons. I think I'm doing the size that gives me 4 inches positive ease, I think. But yeah, I am loving that and just want to keep working on it. The next one that I have is another muscle bar. This is the last whip that I currently, not that I'm working on, I have lots of whips that I'm working on that I have here to show you today, because yeah, I'm working on a few at a time. So if you don't see a whip for a while, it doesn't mean that I've stopped working on it. It just means, sorry, it doesn't mean that I have frogged it. It just means that I'm not working on it right now. Here you go. This is the next muscle bar. I'm making this for a friend who has quite a large head and struggles to find beanies in his size. So I'm doing this. I am using, oh, that's an old one, Grundle Hot Socks colour, and it is colour 416. So this is a self-striking yarn. If you do it on socks, I think it would end up with this kind of 4 colours per stripe thing, but because it is so many more stitches, I'm getting 1 to 2 stripes per colour. And like here, the grey is quite too stripy, but over here, the black is quite too stripy. And the grey is more one stripe. So I find it fun that even just on the same hat, you have 2 different looks. Like it is black, grey, black, grey, black, grey, but the 3 different greys transition from light to dark. So it is a 50-gram ball. I only have 50 grams of it. So I have pulled out this one, which is a Cascade Heritage. Oh, I do have the tag in here. Cascade Heritage 7525, colour 5736. This one I picked up in Australia to use for heels and toes, or heels when I want to. And I was thinking that, you know, I could use it for heel over sock, but now I'm using it for a muscle bar. I think that will finish off quite nicely. It's kind of the same colour as the darkest grey in this one, and it means that the person who gets the beanie, he can either wear it this way with all the stripes, or he can wear it the other way with all the grey. I'm not measuring. I know that Ysolda Teague has updated her pattern to include, if you want to do 2 colours, you like knit to this much and then change and then knit to this much. I'm not doing that. I took out 5 grams of this for my Crazy Memories blanket, and so now I'm just going to knit until this is gone and change colour. If it means that one side of the beanie is less wearable than the other, so be it. But I think, yeah, it'll probably be, because I'm doing the adult XL, extra large, or maybe extra large. Is there 2 sizes? I don't remember if there's 1XL or if it goes up to 2XL. Whatever it is, I'm doing the largest pattern size. And so I don't think I actually even have enough of this to do the length that the pattern would say. So I'm literally just going to knit to the end and then switch to this one. I don't know if this is a full skein or not. I bought this and highlighter yellow at the same time, And I've used highlighter yellow for a couple of socks, but I don't know if I've used this one or not. But I wound it up anyway. So either way, I'll use this, I'll add it to my Cozy Memories blanket, and then maybe use the rest of the socks heels like I planned. Yeah, so this is my current like travel knitting, meeting knitting, that kind of stuff, until I can get a jumper to be a knitting knit stage. That excites me. I love jumpers. I love jumpers. I couldn't believe last year I only knit 7 jumpers. And I say only. I know that's a lot for a lot of people. But I love knitting jumpers. And I can't believe that I only knit 7. But I can, because I understand that socks generally are a lot easier. And so I knit a lot of socks. And I enjoy knitting socks. But I have so many jumpers that I want to knit. So I'm really excited that 12 cast-ons. I picked them all randomly. Go watch it. But my goodness, I cast on a lot of jumpers. And I'm so excited for that. I'm so here for it. Alright, the other thing that happened during 12 cast-ons is that I reached 500 subscribers here on YouTube. So thank you so much for being part of this. I really enjoy sharing what I'm making, and I just have a little giveaway to say thank you. So if you want to win, just comment down below. Any comment will enter you to win, and I will draw a winner on the next episode, which will probably be in 2 weeks. So today is January 16. So we'll say enter up until the end of January, and I will record another episode in February and draw a winner for that one. I will show you what I'm giving away. I have a little bundle of goodies, if I can hold them up. So what have we got here? We have a little Notions tin. I shared these a little bit on the 12 cast-ons, but these is just my classic Notions tin that I put in everything. I've put in some stitch stoppers that are mountain cows or maybe yaks. There is a needle, some stitch markers, some progress keepers, a little sock blocker one. This is one that I made. We have a 3D printer, and so I made this little progress keeper, which looks like a sock blocker. Yeah, so that's just a few little things. I don't have any scissors small enough to fit in here, but I do have a little pair of craft scissors to go with it. So you can pop that inside your project bag. I have some handmade paper that you can use for writing letters or turning into cards or whatever you'd like. There's a few pieces here. Just something that I do for fun sometimes. I make paper. Don't know if you knew that about me. And then, of course, some yarn. This is 75-25 merino nylon. It is recycled polymid, so recycled nylon in here. And I dyed it. Yeah, I like dyeing yarn. I don't have a shop, but I do enjoy dyeing it. So just some nice calm blue to go with this. So yeah, comment down below if you want to win this, and I will pick a winner on the next episode and get that sent out. But thank you so much, because I love sharing what I'm making, but I also love talking with you guys and hearing what you're making. And the 12 cast-ons was really special in that way, because I got to talk with you a lot more about what you're doing and hear more about what you're doing at the same time, in much more real time, which was really fun. But yeah, thank you for being here, for being part of this. And this is just a little way to say thank you. I think that's all I've got for today. So I'm going to wrap this up and go and have a special anniversary lunch with my husband. I hope you're having a great day, night, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I would love if you would tell me how your year's going so far. If you have any knitting plans or making plans, I would love to hear about them. And I will see you next time. Bye.